Yo guys, today we're going to talk about the Davinci Resolve 17 update. It is in the beta phase. You can download it now. There's a link below. I'm going to take you through a couple of the features, the overhauls, and then next few videos are going to be some deep dives into each tab and what's changed. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ed. I'm a Melbourne-based photographer, videographer, and freelance digital marketer. While I look through the sort of updates and things that they've changed in Davinci Resolve, I will be looking at that through my own lens, obviously, as a working videographer and someone who uses this app very regularly to do commercial work rather than just YouTube. I know YouTube is some people's jobs, but I think it's a little bit of a different perspective. For me, it is all about how quickly I can pump out content. For me, more jobs a week means more money. It's important to me, and if I can do the same job in the same quality in less amount of time, that's super important for me. So live stream was this morning in Australia, or within the last 24 hours, for Davinci Resolve announcing 17. And I have to say, I was absolutely blown away by their features. I loved Davinci Resolve 16. I think it's a fantastic editing program. It has its flaws like any editing program, but for me, it was the best editing program for my workflow and how I work. So much so that I do have the studio version, the professional paid version. It has taken my editing to another level. I love how it's all integrated. There's no dynamic linking like with Adobe because it's all baked into one with your Fusion, your Fairlight, not that I've ever touched Fairlight, but Fusion and the Edit tab and then your Color tab. And that's obviously what Davinci is known for, the Color tab being professional color grading and making your footage look that much better through just really manipulating footage in such a natural and organic way, and it just looks good, and it's really hard to not get a good image with Davinci Resolve Color. And that'll take us to my first point. The Color tab update is absolutely insane. So they've added a couple of little things. So a lot of them are quality of life changes, so things have been moved around, look a little bit different, spaced out a little different. There's two main call outs that you'd probably want to be aware of. One is the color warper. It's a spider web looking thing that you can pop up on your screen. Essentially what you can do is hover the eyedropper tool over an area on your scene, click on it, and it'll show you on the color warper exactly what you're pointing at on the color spectrum, and you can drag the eyedropper to change the color in a really, really organic way, a really beautiful way to add colors into your scene. To be honest, it is the easiest I've ever been able to color grade something using this tool. I played around with it with a couple of clips that you're seeing up on the screen now, just from previous edits, and I just found it so easy to add these colors in and just make it super organic. The way, I don't know how this software works, I'm sure someone at Blackmagic knows, the way the software manipulates the colors is so organic and so beautiful, and I think this is going to be a major tool that's going to draw people away from Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro to over to Davinci Resolve, because having this feature, it's just like the previous color tab was better than the rest in terms of Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro, but now it is just such a higher standard, higher caliber. It's not even close. Like, it's not even close. We're talking about your Wish drone versus your Mavic Pro 2. It is not a competition. These are not in the same field. It is insane how good this is. Number two thing that most of you will be probably using if you're someone that's just a normal video editor, or you're just doing sort of regular videos, is the Edit tab. There has been so many quality of life changes in the Edit tab as we go through it. If you look over on the left in your Effects tab, there are some cool little effects there. There's more effects added in for you, but more importantly, you can actually see the effects as you hover over them. I think this is huge. I think it's just those little things, those 10-second, 15-second little jobs that add up over the course of a big edit. That means the difference between like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, depending how long you're editing for, that they've just cut out. So if you look at a transition, for example, you can hover over the transition on the left-hand side, and on your footage in your screen, it's gonna show you what that transition is gonna look like on the piece without applying it to the clip, which for me is amazing, because it used to be you drag it onto the clip, you wait for it to render if you have to render, you'd see if it looks any good. If it looks shit, you get rid of it, you try another transition, whereas now you can just go through that tab as is. I think that's a massive quality of life change, and I absolutely love it. I've also added a couple of different generators in there, just different things to help you sort of speed up your workflow. For me, there's a color screen there that I never really use for proper color grading, but I do use it as a sort of a bleep blur sort of thing in a bloopers reel that I've done for a few videos. To have that there, that's awesome for me. Probably not what you're meant to use it for, but good for me. And you're also seeing a couple of tools that were typically reserved for Fusion come over into the Edit tab. For example, one that I really love and I use quite a bit, and you guys have seen in my previous tutorials about Fusion, is a DVE tool. The DVE tool is different from your typical transform node because it uses the Z axis as well. Basically, you can move clips further away or closer to the camera if you wish, and make sure that they stay at that distance. So you can move elements around behind it on your screen, even though it's a 2D plane, move it behind your screen without interfering, whereas you don't really get that luxury with the transform node. So it's a really nice way to sort of integrate these little things into your workflow. And there's a couple of other things that are little cool effects, like I think there's night vision, there's binocular tools, there's all these little effects in there that have been, might come useful in some scenario where you don't want to get an overlay from online and then chuck it in there. It's just like it's in there, it's baked in for you, it's nice and easy. Another thing that people will be very excited to see is in the titles tab, it has been revamped. You can see that you've actually got Fusion generated titles in the title tab on the edit page, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm really loving this further integration of Fusion into the titles. A lot of the work I do is with titles. To have DVE and the titles in there is actually fantastic for me. I actually recently did a project with a client which I was basically exclusively using DVE and text/title tools in Fusion. So the fact that I could have done that in the edit tab now I can do that in the edit tab, absolutely fantastic news for me. I think that's a really big game changer. Other thing you're gonna notice in the edit tab on the right hand side, just some quality of life changes, things have moved around. Up at the top right hand side now, it's a little bit clearer to see exactly what's going on with that clip. You've got the image, audio, transitions, effects, all that sort of stuff is just a little bit more clearly labeled for the clip, so it's a little bit easier for you to dissect. And obviously, if you're spending less time looking for things, you're spending more time editing, and that's a way better experience. Overall, the Davinci Resolve 17 update looks absolutely fantastic. Now, what I don't like about it, there are some things that they didn't change. For one, Fusion still doesn't have audio. Quick correction, I fucked up. I think I had a bug version of Davinci Resolve, and you can hear audio in Fusion. Finally, thank God, I'm so thankful for this change. This is one that I've wanted for ages. Most of my work through Fusion is to do with transitions and building out like custom transitions for clips, which is why I think it's such a good tool to use. So I don't know if it was because I was using the non-studio version when I originally downloaded 17 that the sound didn't carry across, or if it's like it doesn't work with a Fusion clip that has audio in it as well. I'm not sure, I'll have to investigate that, guys, but we'll do a deep dive into Fusion later, so I'll explain all that. So let's get back into the video. So that was pretty disappointing for me not to see that. Other one is multicam clip. Now this is probably going to be a need that is so specific to me, it won't matter to a lot of people, but I have to admit that I do not like the multicam angle or multi-angle cam, whatever it's called, feature in Davinci Resolve. I find that it really sucks. I shoot a lot of cooking shows and a lot of talking head interviews, and I like to have a floating camera effect. So I have one locked off tripod, like so, and then I'll have a floating camera effect somewhere around where I'm physically holding my B camera and moving around, especially for those cooking shots. It allows me to get in nice and close, get those really detailed shots, and it makes a really dynamic scene. Love that. Do not like how multicam will take every single individual clip and put it on a different angle. So if I've got one shot, for example, I was looking through some footage before, I had one angle, which was the number one angle, which was this camera running all the way along, and it had 17 different camera angles or 16 different camera angles for all the B-roll sequences that I shot just for that clip. I don't like that. I wish they'd make it more like pluralize the app that you can, or the program that you can get, where it'll just do everything on individual tracks, and it can tell when something's come from the same camera in the same time period to make sure that you are lining them up. So you've only got angle 1, angle 2. That's what I'd love to see. I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't put that in. That would have been an awesome feature for them, because it just doesn't make sense to have 17 different tracks when you basically, you know it's coming from one camera and from the other camera. That was the only thing I was disappointed in. I was really fingers crossed for that one, but that's just because a lot of my work comes from that sphere. So it would have made my life a lot easier to be able to line that up and just make sure I can just smash out that edit a little bit quicker. But beggars can't be choosers. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the edit tab and into the Fusion tab and into the color tab in the near future. So stay tuned for that, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying 17. Download the beta. Obviously, it's a little bit buggy. It is a beta, but send your feedback. It helps them deliver a better product to you. After all, you can use it for free for most of the features, and it's not a huge expense to buy the studio version, which you do get for free when you're buying 17. It is absolutely incredible. I love it. I'm really, really happy with Davinci Resolve. I love the fact that they don't charge you more for all these updates. It's fantastic. They're a great company. They listen to the consumers, and I'm just such a fanboy, as you can tell. Anyway, guys, if you've gotten this far, I would absolutely love it if you could subscribe. Leave us a comment if you're going to try 17. Maybe you're coming over to Premiere Pro and you're seeing all these new features and it's appealing to you. Maybe you've been thinking about checking it out for a while. Let us know and let me know what feature you're most hyped for. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one.